The turnoff is that no one asked him.
Hey,
And the turnoff is someone will ask me, and then when I ask,
The annoying thing is that no one asks him, and the annoying thing is that when I answer, people say things like, he's always talking about him. But the truth is that he's a big part of everything that happened in my past. What was the most painful moment in your life when Aaliyah died? I think we were all shocked and devastated, and I know that you were my mother and father's equals. But they never moved on and see, however, it was very painful there. Remember when Jay-Z and Dame Dash were hip-hop's ultimate power couple? Well, those days are long gone. Finally, Jay is talking about why he let Dame go, but Dame has his own version of events. And believe me, it includes some serious dirt on both Jay and his new friend Lor Cohen. The question is, who is telling the truth? Dame claims that he has an entire artillery ready and is not simply making light remarks. Jay-Z and Lor Cohen allegedly tramped on black musicians to achieve fame, so it's not like they just dumped him. Jay-Z has had enough of Dame's mudslinging and is prepared to respond with his own receipts. Dame isn't here for the silence. He's identifying names, dropping facts, and dumping all the tea. The narrative presented by Jay depicts a scenario in which personal betrayals and business disagreements rendered the partnership untenable. However, it turns out that the reason Jay-Z initially betrayed Dame was due to the unimaginable things Dame allegedly did to Aaliyah. Let's go back to 1995 when Jay-Z was selling CDs from his car, knocking on major labels' doors and receiving rejection. This is when Dame Dash and Kareem Burr decided to take matters into their own hands and started their own independent label, Rockefeller Records. Priority Records quickly secured a distribution deal for them, and in 1996 Jay released his debut album Reasonable Doubt. The album was a huge hit, and they were working with some of the hottest producers like Swiss Beats Timbaland and Jermaine Dupri. However, in 2000, Jay changed things up, bringing in a new group of producers that included Kanye West and the Neptunes. Jay also signed new talent, including Cameron Freeway and a group of young Philly rappers who would later form State Property. By 2002, however, the whispers began to surface, raising questions about whether Jay and Dame would continue their legendary partnership. Both denied any beef, but insiders said Jay was annoyed by Dame's media antics, while Dame felt Jay was becoming distant. Beanie Siegel, one of the original Rockefeller artists, spilled some tea on the situation, saying Dame got a bit too fame-hungry, and if he had stayed behind the scenes, maybe Rockefeller would still be a powerhouse. Conversations that me and Jay had a Dame was started being famous, the cam. The camera, he fell victim to the camera, you lie to say anything, you can beat anybody. Or I think if Dame would have played the role as Kareem Burks did Kareem, and just played the background and just handled the business correctly, maybe Rockefeller still will be, the force that we was. Fast forward to 2004, and the rumor mill was on fire with talk of Rockefeller's impending closure. Dame kept shutting down those rumors, telling MTV Rockefeller for life. But little did Dame know Jay had already made his move. He announced he'd be succeeding Lor Cohen as president of Def Jam, and Def Jam would buy the other half of Rockefeller. They'd sold half to Def Jam in 1997 for $1.55 million, and 7 years later, Def Jam bought the rest for $10 million and appointed Jay as CEO. Dame and Biggs, meanwhile, were salty that Jay kept the Rockefeller name and claimed he used it as leverage to win full ownership of the Reasonable Doubt Masters after selling their shares. Big and Dame launched their own labels. But the controversy persisted, and each Rockefeller musician was forced to take a stance. For instance, Cameron promptly took the side of Dame's record firm Dash Music Group, claiming that Jay-Z had prevented him from becoming vice president. Cameron even made some dubious accusations against Jay in his song, You Got to Love It. Chase is at last prepared to share his side of the tale following years of Dame Dash casting shadows. Jay's done. Heaping quiet picture this Jay-Z, the king of hip-hop, sitting in his fancy office, probably sipping on some Dewey, finally ready to talk about why he cut ties with his old partner in crime. Now we all thought Jay betrayed Dame, right? That's been the word on the street for years. But Jay's about to flip the script on us. He's saying is the one who messed things up with his wild business moves. Apparently Dame was out here making deals left and right without even checking with Jay first. Not cool, Dame. Not cool at all. So why has Dame been playing the victim all along? Jay says he tried to make things right. He offered Dame a deal that would have had him giving up everything. And I mean everything. We're talking his position as president of D-Jam, all his masters, the whole Rockefeller empire, everything except one thing: his first album, Reasonable Doubt. Jay straight up said, so I was like, let me get Reasonable Doubt, and I'll give up the rest of my masters. I'll give up Rockefeller Records. I'll give up president and CEO of D-Jam Recordings. Everything. Just give me my baby to hold on to, so 10 years down the line, I can look back and I got something. I'm not empty-handed. And I was the one being offered everything. I thought it was more than fair, and when that was turned down, I had to make a choice. I'll leave that for the people to say what choice they would have made. That's about it. I don't really want to talk about Dame or Biggs. I don't have nothing negative to say about them. Can you believe that Jay was ready to give it all up just to keep his first album? That's how much it meant to him. But guess what? Dame said no. Like, who turns down a deal like that? Dame. Jay-Z seems to be at last disclosing why he betrayed Dame. Jay is not only discussing business, he is also getting personal, claiming that Dame was turning into a serious problem because of the way he was managing things, including the way Dame was acting in public and the things he was saying to the media. The drama doesn't end there. Remember when Cameron abruptly became vice president of Rockefeller? That wasn't Jay's idea, and Dame did that without even consulting Jay. Can you imagine how angry Jay must have been at that point? We all know how this story ends, with Jay becoming president and CEO of Def Jam and Rockefeller being sold. Jay claims it wasn't about the money or the power, but rather about making sure he had something to show for all of his hard work. After all, according to Jay, there is only one presidential suite, which means that ultimately only one person can be at the top. And in this case, that person was Jay. Jay thought his tea was hot. It looks like Dame is going to turn things up a notch. Her version of events is even more detailed than Dame's, and she's calling Jay and Laura Cohen out for some very shady business practices. She even goes so far as to say that they worked together to force him out of Rockefeller. But wait, there's more. Dame claims that Laura and Jay weren't just after him. They were also taking advantage of black artists everywhere they went. My issue with Laura was that I felt he was a phony